So for this part of the video, I'm going to be showing you how to do the background for this picture. Now, let me first make a disclaimer here. When I first did this piece of artwork, it's been like a really long time, so I don't exactly remember how I did it, but kind of sort of still remember. Like, for example, I don't remember what the colors that I put in here. Alright, so just to make that clear, so I'm just going to show you how to make the background first. Okay, and for the background, you have two choices. Okay, so this is a piece of watercolor paper. Don't mind the dirt down here because it was from the paper, because when I was wiping it down, I was having it like that. And it showed up here for whatever reasons. So I don't know how that came on. So in any case, as I was saying, you have two choices for this. Okay, what are the two choices? When I first did this original piece, I covered this entire page with blending of yellow, orange, red, and purple. Okay, and I used watercolor pencils, which I'm still going to use for this. But for your case, you have a choice. Okay, you can choose to cover this entire piece of paper. Now, what are the detriments for covering the entire piece of paper? You may find that you will have to fight to get pigment on later when you're doing the coloring here, which I did for this. Okay, the choice is yours. The second choice is you want to draw the general outline of the tree. Okay, so for example, you get this. You probably won't get this, but that's okay. You know, you probably get like, you know, a general outline of the tree. And if it's, what do I say? If it's too big, like say you drew your tree up to here, okay, not too big, too small, that's fine. If it's too big, it's a problem. Okay, if it's too big, isn't like here, like that, but you find that later on when you're doing the tree, it only comes up to here, then there'll be a problem. Okay, but if it's too small, as in like, let's say you drew the outline of a tree this way, okay, and then you just need to cover up to the outline of a tree for the background. And then if you have to draw more later on to balance off the tree, that's okay. Okay, if you're drawing over the colored background, it's okay. If you're leaving white background, then that's a problem. So it's better to over cover your outline. Say if you have this outline here and you cover, say, let me get a piece of paper to show you in general what I mean. Okay. I'm going to need, just give me a few seconds. Okay, so what I'm saying with this, for the background for this painting, okay, you have two choices. First choice, cover the entire page with the background color. Okay, and then you just go over, and then the tree goes over the background. That's the simplest approach. Approach number two, what I'm saying is this. You have say, the outline of a tree. Okay, I'm just brief. It's not going to be neural lines, okay, and it's not going to be a proper tree. I'm just giving you examples. Okay, let's say you have this tree, and then you do your background, okay, in terms of no background here, but all the background on here. So let's say you're going to do that thing, so you will just do background on here and on here. Now, let's say, you see how skewed this tree is. Let's say if I have to fix the tree later on, okay, and I have all this colored background in it, that's fine, because it's easier to color in, to fill in the parts where you've already colored, like that, to make it more balanced, and maybe like that, to make it a little bit more balanced. Okay, now you see that I've covered some of the places which are colored. That's okay. The problem comes in when, let's say, you use pencil to briefly sketch in the outline, and then you do the coloring, and then when you're drawing, you find that, like, let's say, let's pretend for a moment this orange pen is a pencil. So I briefly sketch in an outline for the tree. Okay. Briefly sketch in an outline for the tree. So my tree is going to be looking this way. Now, when I actually go to draw the tree, let's say my tree is going to look like that instead. And I've only colored, okay, let's say right up to here. Now, you have all this white space here, not colored. Okay, pencil lines you can erase later. So this becomes a problem area. Okay, so that is what I mean if you're going to just do a partial background. Of course, you can just draw the tree and then color the entire background later. That's up to you. But that wasn't the process that I used for this tree. So you do whichever process you feel most comfortable with. And because the request was to show how I did this, so I'm going to follow the procedure for how I did this to show you, and then you can go modify it as you please. Okay, so now the first thing I did was I find the center of this paper. Okay, so the way I find the center of the paper is I use a ruler from corner to opposite corner, and I kind of draw a line somewhere in the center of the page. By the way, this paper is a watercolor paper, it's pretty smooth. I'm not sure if it's hot pressed because I was like going to buy it to try it anyways. It's like 40 cents a piece. So it doesn't matter. So I bought like 5 pieces to try and see. So in any case, find the center. You draw lines somewhere from corner to corner. And then you find the center, which is the crisscross here. You make a dot. Okay? Leave that dot there. And then you erase off the lines, but leaving that dot there. And that dot is pretty important because that dot is the center point for this. Okay, that dot lives here. So you find the center point, okay, and then what I did was I started coloring with my watercolor pencils. Okay, I'll bring out my watercolor pencils. Red. Okay, these 4 colors were the colors I was using. And why these 4 colors? Remember the color wheel I was talking about? If you want like really nice blends, this is what you should do. Oh wait, I did have another color. I'll choose this. Okay, so let me sharpen this yellow. Of course, it really doesn't have to be that sharp because water's going on it, and when water goes on it, pigment spreads. So what I did is, from this point, I just make kind of star coloring like that. You'll see. Okay, so from this point onwards, I'm gonna be talking very little and only doing. Alright? Or rather, not talking and only doing. So at this point, I would say that you look at this and say, oh my god, it's so blotchy. Now remember, the tree is going to cover probably at least this area. So most of it is going to be covered up by the tree. And you see all this blotchy stuff here? Don't forget, this is just the first layer. This is the background. Okay? You are going to put more color pencil lines on this, or whatever media you're using, more onto this later. And you will also find that this yellow spot here, most of it will be covered up. Okay? Just like this here. If you look at this, most of it will be covered up. And you will only see this part. Okay, so don't worry about the blotchiness at this point, because you can touch it up with your colored pencils or whatever media you're using later on. Okay, now the primary thing, most important thing that you have to remember at this point is, don't overwork this until it starts peeling. Okay, if it starts peeling, you will have trouble laying on more colors later with whatever media you're using, even watercolor. Okay, now just leave it, let it dry, and there will be some warping on the paper. You just need to flatten it. Okay, so let it dry, flatten it, and then you can move on with your Neuroart tree. All right, now I've already mentioned I cannot do it exactly the way I did it here, because I don't even exactly remember how I did it. So this is kind of how I remember I did it, and then the rest was covered up with colored pencils. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna try and flatten it, because I've already noticed some warping, you know, all over the paper. It's a given, even though it's watercolor paper. I don't think this watercolor paper is really very good at all. In any case, that's besides the point. We'll have to work with it because I've already done this. So I will see you again, or talk to you again, when this is dry and we're getting to coloring the Neuroart tree. I will not be covering how to draw the wish tree. You can refer to my old video on how to draw that wish tree. I am only gonna cover how to color it the way I did it here. Alright, so I will talk to you again later.